I want to thank you for your time. It's an honor to be here with these two gentlemen, and I want to thank all our veterans here. And I encourage all the students here to please talk to all the veterans, and I encourage you to hear about all their stories and to learn as much as you can throughout the course of the whole series of lectures. Going back to September 2006, we just heard from our brigade commander that we were going to get extended in theater. Now, granted, this my perspective is from 2006, and it kind of stops there. So everything that happened after that in Anbar Province, I'm not really too familiar with. So I kind of have like a 2 years old perspective. But we just heard we were going to get extended, and one of our combat outposts had been mortared. So I went out with my company commander out in sector. As his fire support officer, my role was to provide indirect fire support. I also provided like information operations, civil affairs, everything that was predominantly non-artillery support I did, as well as the artillery job. So we were out in sector, figuring out where the insurgents were at, who had fired mortars at one of our outposts. And we were about to link up and return back to our base when the Humvee I was in became stuck in the mud. And that's when things took a turn for the worse. So we dismounted our vehicle, myself, the commander, and the first sergeant, and we started pulling security. And that's when one of the platoon sergeants, Staff Sergeant Newland, got out and put the tow cables in the back of the Humvee and started recovering the vehicle. I looked down the road and I saw a couple things that were kind of suspicious that we call a TTP, a Tactics, Technique, and Procedure. The enemy was really commonly using in that part of Anbar Province. And what they would do is they would drive in scooters and sort of survey our location, try to figure out what we were doing, and then predict if we were going to be in that location for a while, and then possibly ambush us or drop a landmine or do something else. And so I took a mental note of it, but didn't do anything beyond that. And then a couple minutes later, I saw a vehicle come to a complete halt. The guy got out, and the civilian walked away. And I wasn't really sure if the guy was an insurgent or not, but what was kind of strange about it was he parked his vehicle in an intersection, and then he walked away. So I thought maybe he left the vehicle there as a marker to indicate that we were down the road and to show people not to go down that road and to avoid the American forces. So I thought he could have been indicating the insurgents that we were down there, or just to let other civilians know. I wasn't really sure of that either, but I took also a mental note of that. Within a couple minutes, out of nowhere, from two different directions, that's when we took machine gun fire. And the problem was we were in an exposed area with no cover except for what the vehicles provided. And so it was a really bad spot to be in. About 2 months prior, one of our soldiers from an armor platoon had been shot by a sniper. So we knew it was a bad area. And as a company intel officer, it was my job to do all the intel analysis of the whole city. And so I remember that exact intersection we were in and when it happened. So I looked over, and as soon as we took the machine gun fire, I saw my commander and first sergeant were both injured. So my initial reaction was to take cover. But then things kind of went black after. I don't remember what happened exactly. But before I knew it, I was over top my company first sergeant doing first aid on him. And a lot of what I'm told is secondhand. I can't tell you really from my perspective what happened. A lot of it other people tell me from different accounts. But a long story short, before I knew it, I was also hit from machine gun fire. So I slumped down and passed out for a minute or so. And when I came to, I looked over, and Sergeant Newland was returning fire and directing the Bradleys where to orient their gunfire to shoot back at the insurgents. And then he came over with some soldiers to come pick up the commander. They carried him away. And when they came back, they came to pick up the first sergeant, and no one knew I was injured. They came to help carry First Sergeant Sapp, and while they were doing that, I was injured again. And I knew I was well enough to help carry the first sergeant. So we got in the back of the vehicle, and we drove off. What's interesting, though, is this whole engagement that involved myself was only about 30 minutes of an 8-hour battle that ensued. So after we were dropped off, what Sergeant Newland did was he got back in the vehicle, and he went right back out in sector, and then he pursued the insurgents from house to house with air support. and the rest of the battalion, quick reaction force, and also the Iraqi quick reaction force, the Iraqi army, to support them. And so for the next 8 hours, they chased after the insurgents that were responsible for ambushing us. And when it was all said and done, they ended up detaining about 50 insurgents who ironically made the mistake of firing at them from a mosque. So they thought they were safe from shooting inside a mosque. That was also a technique the enemy would use, but they got the clearance to go inside the mosque. And the smart decision they made was sending the Iraqi army in the mosque to give the right public perception that we weren't just going inside the mosques to do raids. We sent the Iraqi army in there for good PR, and they brought all 50 of the possible insurgents out. And for his actions that day, Sergeant Newland received a Silver Star, and then also one of the platoon leaders, Lieutenant Vo, also received a Silver Star. So you hear a lot of stories about heroes, but a lot of stories you also don't hear about. And those are two examples of stories that were never really put out in the papers, but I just want to let you know about two examples of heroism from that day that really motivate me to want to be a better leader and to never let my guys down.